Welcome to Warhammer 40k lore in the Bible, where I pull from Warhammer 40k lore to help explain biblical lore. And today, we're going to be going over the White Scars Space Marine chapter. But before we get into the video, take the wikis with a grain of salt, and I am not a lore expert. And then every Monday is a regular biblical video. Every Thursday will be this series, Warhammer 40k lore in the Bible. And then every Saturday is a Christian Nerd Reacts. And then it's going to be here more often, which is my Warhammer 40k bolt gun comedy series that I do. And last week's episode 11, was really good, man. That was the best one that we've done. And thank you to Here Comes Hope for helping me do this series. And Six Packs Kaioken as well. But anyways, so if I've earned a like and subscription, please consider doing so. Alright, now we'll get started. The White Scars, who call themselves the Horde of Jaghatai, and were originally called the Star Hunters during the early Great Crusade, are a loyalist space marine chapter, and one of the first founding chapters of the Adeptus Astartes. Known and feared throughout the Imperium of Man for their highly mobile way of war. The White Scars are considered the masters of the lightning strike and hit-and-run attack, and are particularly adapted to the use of the Astartes assault bike, as their mechanical steeds and their forces contain an unusually large number of bike squads compared to the other chapters. Bearing the ritual scars of bravery, these fierce warriors fight with all the tribal savagery that define the fierce steppe nomads of their homeworld, Mundus Planus, known to them as Chogoris, bringing swift death to all the enemies of the Imperium. The fierce, honor-scarred battle brothers of the White Scars chapter are the inheritors of the 5th Space Marine Legion. Recruited from the most savage nomad tribes of the feral world of Chogoris. The White Scars fight in the manner of the nomad warriors of the steppes, mounting lightning assaults, utilizing the fastest of vehicles. The White Scars descend upon their foes in an unstoppable torrent, their hearts filled with savage joy, and the battle cry for the Emperor and the Khan on their lips. The Primarch of the White Scars was the mighty Jaghatai Khan, the first and only warrior to have risen to such power that he could unite every one of the wild tribes of the Chogoran steppes into a single body. He achieved all this before the times when the Great Crusade reached Chogoris and the Primarch was reunited with his father. The young Jaghatai rose quickly to command the tribe that had adopted him, and by the strength of his rhetoric as well as his arm, he united all the clans against their murderous city-dwelling oppressors of the Tartarian Empire. The steppes are said to have run red with blood as warriors united under Jaghatai's black horsehair banner and avenged every wrong ever done to them. The cities were destroyed and their armies set to the sword, until finally all the Chogoris belonged to the tribes of the steppes. Mere solar months later, the Great Crusade reached Jaghatai's new one kingdom. And upon setting eyes upon his father, he knew that there was a man who shared his vision of human unity. Jaghatai understood that a far greater prize than any he could have imagined lay before him, the reunification of the entirety of mankind. The ranks of the 5th Legion were swelled by the intake of warriors inducted from Jaghatai Khan's fierce army. The Legion inheriting the traditions of the Chogorian steppes nomads. Soon, the savagery of the tribes had bred itself into the Legion's gene seed too, but it was tempered by the fierce sense of honor and justice, embodied so perfectly by the Legion's Primarch. The White Scars fought with valor and determination throughout the Great Crusade, though the years immediately preceded the Horus Heresy were spent mired in a campaign against an Orc empire centered on the Chondax system. It was the climax of a grueling war that word arrived of the War Master Horus's treachery, and Rogel Dorn bade his brother Jaghatai to join with the space wolves of Layman Rus and return to Terra in preparation for the traitors' assault. Anticipating such a move, the War Master dispatched the Alpha Legion to engage the space wolves. Jaghatai was faced with the dilemma of aiding his brother Rus or answering Dorn's request. Forced to choose between his duty to his brother and duty to the Imperium, Jaghatai chose the latter, though the choice was far from easily made. The White Scars arrived at Terra in time to stand before the traitors, though countless of their numbers gave their lives to thwart he who would undo the great work of the Master of Mankind. History recorded little of the Great Khan's actions during the siege of Terra, but it is known that his legion ranged the once proud thoroughfares of Terra, engaging the traitors and punishing hit-and-run strikes, and that when the end finally came, the White Scars emerged from the fires of the Galactic Civil War bloodied but alive. They must surely have been at the forefront of the legions that pursued the defeated traitors to the Eye of Terror during the Great Scouring, that followed the heresy. For to this day, the White Scars rarely allow a defeated foe to slip away once their blood is up. All right, now we're going to move on to the chapter history. Just a few of these paragraphs, but anyways. In the wake of the long night of the Age of Strife, in the unifications or wars of Terra, in the late 30th millennium, the Emperor of Mankind sought to unite all of humanity under one banner and end interhuman conflict. The Emperor hoped to ensure human domination of the Milky Way galaxy, a conquest he judged necessary if mankind was to survive the never-ending threats to its existence. Excuse me, guys, sorry. Embodied by chaos, the myriad hostile Xenos races, and its own fragile human nature. In time, when the Emperor's eye first began to fall beyond Terra, he began to raise new armies to fight his Great Crusade. He drew these new troops in part from the forces that he already unified Terra during the unification wars of the late 30th millennium. To carry out the Great Crusade and to reunite at the scattered colony worlds of mankind beneath the single banner of the Imperium of Man, the Emperor created the genetically enhanced superhuman warriors of the Space Marine Legions. These forces would serve as the spear tip of his Great Crusade that had begun in circa 798 in the 30th millennium, bringing the light of the imperial truth and enforcing imperial compliance with the new regime on every human world encountered. To each of his legions, the Emperor bestowed a genetic legacy that would mold them into a set role, making each a matchless tool for the prosecution of the role, or of that role. The 5th Legion were the pathfinders of the Great Crusade, ever in uncharted territory and far from the borders of the expanding Imperium, and oft forgotten by the chroniclers that followed the conquest's wake. Organized into small mobile units, the 5th Legion ran before the armies of the Emperor during the final conquest on Terra, and then across the stars, sowing confusion and death in their wake. They were the swift blade that probed for weakness before a sudden and deadly strike, not the sledgehammer that some of their other brother legions had become. A subtle and deadly weapon in the hands of a master strategist, the Great Khan, Jaghatai, would come to forge these outcasts of the Legiones Astartes into a force that would overturn the scales of destiny itself. As the dark days of the Horus heresy unfolded, These unpredictable warriors were doubted by many, their loyalty questioned by those who should have been allies, and assumed by those who would become enemies. Often the first legion into the wilds at the edge of those few star charts to survive the long night of the age of strife. The White Scars had ever operated without the support of their brethren and rarely acted in consort with the other legions, where their brother legions built legacies of trust and accumulated interlinked webs of treaties and oaths of support between them. The White Scars remained separate. What had at first been a matter of strategy soon became a tradition, one that saw the Fifth Legion become a solitary and reclusive force, renowned for their independence and willful nature even among the Astartes. Such was their reputation at the outset of the Horus heresy, that those who sought to rule the Imperium, be they emperor or tyrant, eyed the legion as a prize, to be won and leashed to their ambitions, a fulcrum upon which to lever mankind's civil war in their favor. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the biblical stuff from here. And of course, if you're new to this, I do Warhammer 40k lore, I do biblical lore, and then we come back to Warhammer 40k lore at the end. So, this is going to be an interesting one, okay? So just stick with it. So we're going to start with Ezekiel 38:13. We're going to be talking about this place called Tarshish. But anyways, verse 13, Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Art thou come to take spoil? Thou hast gathered thy company to take prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, and to take great spoil. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog. So Gog, this guy here, is the principality of this region, or God, right? So and that's pretty much what he is. And he's got hordes and all that, but unfortunately I used him for the orc, so I'm not going to bring him up too much here. But we're going to talk about this Tartarian Empire. Now, I wasn't going to talk about the mud floods and all of that until I found a verse. Anyways, I'll show you. So the Tartarian Empire refers to a group of pseudo-historical conspiracy theories. Now, this was an actual place, okay? And I'll show you how there's maps of it and everything. So, which originated in pseudo-scientific Russian nationalism. Yes, be careful of this part here, because there's a lot of Russian nationalism in it when you look into this. So you got to be careful of that. But anyways, so Tartary or Tartaria is a historical name for Central Asia and Siberia. So even they agree. Conspiracy theories assert that Tartary or the Tartarian Empire was a lost civilization with advanced technology and culture. Now, I don't know about this part right here. All I know is what the Bible says about it. So, okay. This ignores well-documented history of Asia, which Tartary refers to. In the present day, Tartary region covers a region spanning from central Afghanistan to northern Kazakhstan, as well as areas present in Mongolia, in China, and the Russian Far East in Chinese Tartary. Okay, so these are all maps of Tartaria, right? These are old maps and stuff. So Tartaria, Grand Tartary, right here, same thing. So you see that Tartary. So it was an actual place. Why am I talking about this? Because this is where the Mongolians and all that were. So this is where the Golden Horde comes from and all that. So the Golden Horde, self-designated as the Ulig Ulis, was originally a Mongol and later Turkicized Khanate. Now, Tartaria and all that, you'll hear these people around this area in Turkey in Central Asia, they call themselves the Tartars. Okay? I mean, tartar sauce, right? But, anyways, I digress. So, this was a kind of a mixture between Turkish and these Asian peoples, I guess, per se. And they're like this, I guess, I don't even know what you call them, but they're basically Turkish and Asian. You can tell by their looks and all that. But, anyways. So, originally a Mongol and later Turkishized Khanate, established in the 13th century and originating as the northwestern sector of the Mongol Empire. With the division of the Mongol Empire after 1259, it became functionally separate Khanate. It is also known as the Kipchak Khanate, or as the Ulus of Jaghatai. Interesting. Excuse me. And replaced the earlier less organized Kuman Kipchak Confederation. All right. So, that'll come later here. That's not what I wanted. Okay. So now we're going to see here Tarshish again. This place called Tarshish. So, the burden of Tyre, how ye ships of Tarshish, for it is laid waste. Interesting. But anyways, so that there is no house, no entering in, and from the land of Chittim it is revealed unto them. Okay, we're going to go down some more. So this Tartarian Empire goes even back to Egypt. So as the report concerning Egypt, so shall they be sorely pained at the report of Tyre. Ready? Pass ye over to Tarshish. How, you inhabitants of the isle? Is this your joyous city, whose antiquity is of ancient days? Her own feet shall carry her afar off to sojourn. Okay, now we're going to go down a little bit. Or actually, no, we're going to read this. So, who taketh the counsel against Tyre, the crowning city, whose merchants are princes, whose traffickers are the honorable of the earth? So that's that. Is this it? Oh no, that ain't it. Anyways. I didn't bring it up, it looks like. So, pass ye over Tarshish, how ye inhabitants of the isle? Is this your joyous city, whose antiquity of ancient days, her own feet shall carry her afar off to sojourn, who had taken counsel against Tyre? Okay, I read that stuff already. So, right here, this is interesting. That's coming up. So, the Lord of hosts that proposed it, to stain the pride of all glory, and bring it into contempt all the honorable of the earth. Pass through thy land as a river, O daughter of Tarshish. There is no more strength. So it's like he's talking about this future daughter of Tarshish. Is this Tartaria? Anyways, he stretched out his hand over the sea. He shook the kingdoms. The Lord hath given commandment against the merchant city to destroy the strongholds thereof. Okay. So we're going to go back here. One of the things now, I wasn't going to bring it up and all because there was a lot of fake pictures on this stuff. But look what it says here, the hidden past and the mud floods. That's one of the big things of Tartaria are these mud floods. Let's look right here. Pass through thy land as a river, O daughter of Tarshish. There is no more strength. He stretched out his hand over the sea, and he shook the kingdoms. The Lord hath given commandment against the merchant city to destroy the strongholds thereof. And one of these things you'll see. That's not it either. What the heck? I guess I didn't save it. You'll see these star forts. These are military style things, but anyways. These things right here. So, and as you've noticed, it's a militarized thing, right? So, against the merchant city to destroy the strongholds thereof. And he said, thou shalt no more rejoice. Yeah, I won't bring that up. But anyways, look who shows up here. The Assyrian, right? The destroyer. So verse 13, in the land of the Chaldeans, this people was not, till the Assyrian founded it for them that dwell in the wilderness. They set up towers thereof. They raised up palaces thereof, and he brought it to ruin. This is going to blow you away here. So, this is the flags of Tartaria right here. This is what you would call a cockatrice. Okay? So right here, Isaiah 14:29. This is talking about the Assyrian, and I'll show you, but we'll read this first. Isaiah 14:29. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent, or a seraphim. Let's look at that again. Oh, well, this is a cockatrice right here. Interesting. But look at this flag. It's not what I wanted. Oh, well. Anyways. But yeah, that's a cockatrice. And this is talking about a future destruction of it. Because remember, so we have the mud floods, right? And like I said, I wasn't going to say anything about the mud floods and just bring up Tartaria and all that until I read that yesterday. Till I read this whole thing. I was like, holy cow. But anyways, so, and the Assyrian found it. Oh, I need to show you that this is the Assyrian. So, same chapter. Let me find it. Right. Isaiah 14:25. That I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon my mountains tread him underfoot. The Assyrian is the destroyer, or the angel of the bottomless pit in Revelation, right? Apollyon. That's who this is. Interesting. And again, this is where the Golden Horde and Mongolia and a lot of the Mongols, pitch their tents and stuff like that. So it's interesting. And then you have like the kings of the East in the Bible and stuff, which is, anyways, I need to stop saying interesting. But interesting stuff, man. And there was something, yes, okay, right. And after this Assyrian thing, right, and dwell in the wilderness, or till the Assyrian founded it for them that dwell in the wilderness. They set up the towers thereof, and raised up palaces thereof, and he brought it to ruin. How ye ships of Tarshish, for your strength is laid waste. And it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre shall be forgotten 70 years, according to the days of one king. After the end of 70 years shall Tyre sing as a harlot. And that's in Isaiah, by the way. So, the Bible was pretty darn accurate about that, about this Tartaria area. Because it was, and it's not necessarily like fully on to where it was all destroyed, but the place itself, the cities and all that are gone. And we hear nothing about it. I heard nothing about Grand Tartaria or whatever. Nothing about it. We heard about the Mongols, right, and the Turks that were in that area, but we didn't know them as the Tartarians, right? And like I said, even today, there's people call themselves the Tartars. They're mostly in the Turkish, but then there are some in Asia. So, interesting stuff. But anyways, now we're going to get in back to the Warhammer 40k stuff here. So, Mundus Planus, Planus, is the formal imperial High Gothic name for the feudal world. Its inhabitants called Chogoris. So, real quick, a feudal world is a planet in which the Imperium has not seen fit to introduce most advanced technology, although the advent of certain advanced medical technology, such as basic antiseptic agents, is often an exception, so as to keep such worlds labor productive or productivity high in the face of the odd plague of the or epidemic. So that's a feudal world. Its inhabitants called Chogoris, the homeworld of the White Scars Space Marine chapter. It lies in the Yasan sector of the Ultima Segmentum of the galaxy. It is from the savage horse, no, well, it is from the savage horse nomads of Chogoris that the White Scars raise their neophytes, who are well suited to the White Scars' highly mobile way of war. The people of Chogoris speak a language known as Korchin, which is also shared among the White Scars, Astartes drawn from this world. The birth world of the Khan. We'll read it. Might as well. The ancient text known as the Liber Historica Vangelia records that the Primarch Jaghatai Khan arrived at a world in the Ultima Segmentum, originally designated by imperial cartographers by the High Gothic name Mundus Planus, but known to its own inhabitants as Chogoris. Chogoris is a fertile world characterized by lush greenery, roaring mountains, and azure seas, which at the time of the Great Crusade in the early 31st millennium had achieved a level of technology commensurate with the late medieval or early Renaissance periods during Older's Age of Progress, in which black powder weapons had only recently been introduced. A census imperialis of the day records that the dominant Chagorian Empire at this time was an organized feudal aristocracy that had conquered most of the planet with well-equipped and highly disciplined pre-industrial armies, armored and horsemen wearing full plate and density-packed blocks of infantry, had won every campaign their ruler, the Palatine, and had ever fought. To the west of the Palatine's empire was a vast, wind-blown steppe known as the Empty Quarter, home to the nomadic tribes of savage horsemen who for centuries had roamed the vast grasslands. The tribes of the steppes lived in tents and followed a cycle of seasonal migration from the summer pastures to protect winter valleys in Chogoris, Kumkarta Mountains. The consummate horsemen and archers, these desperate tribes frequently fought one another for control of ancestral pasture land, or, as their own ballads would have it, the sheer joy of battle. Chagorian armies had never invaded the Empty Quarter, as the dry and desolate lands were of no value to the Palatine's people. However, the feudal nobles of the Palatine's state would often lead hunting bands into the steppes and take whole tribes east as slaves, or capture a long tribesman to hunt through the mountains for sport. Many passages in the sacred text of the White Scars chapter, known as the Great Khan, are devoted to detailing the full extent of Chagorian atrocities by the servants of the the Palatine, my goodness. The blood rituals and sacrifices described within these passages have led many imperial scholars to postulate that the Palatine's empire may have been dedicated to the worship of the dark gods in one of their many guises across the galaxy. Probably. Probably. I would not doubt that one second. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you guys for supporting me and for the Warhammer 40K community to even allow me to post about Warhammer 40K and all that. So I want to thank you guys. And then, of course, the people that have been with me since the beginning, the people who comment every video. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. So I thank you guys, and you guys have a wonderful day.